Welcome to Two Coaches. I'm Travis. This is Baha. Today we have a guest, Scott Altieri, who I'll let him introduce himself a little bit himself, but he played for me as a goalkeeper. He was average.
Average. Played for Travis, Sparta High School. Club-wise, I played most of my years at Sparta and Vernon. Switched over to Parsippany Soccer Club halfway through high school. That got me into college. Redshirted.
Which teams did you play with in Parsippany?
I started with the U17 team. That was Wojciech Lewinsky brought me there, tried out. After I think halfway through my season, the U20 keeper got hurt. I got a chance to play at Riverfront Park against Ironbound, huge rivalry with Parsippany. We ended up winning. I got to stay with the team, competed, got the starting spot, and we went to nationals with that team down in IMG Academy.
Did you win?
And no.
Why do you have to do that in front of company?
I didn't know if he won.
Oh, okay.
Best experience of my life. We lost, ended up getting a concussion in the final game. That was a fun plane ride home, but that's where I've been since. I just redshirted my freshman year at Bloomfield College and transferring out. Don't know where yet. Somewhere in the NJAC down to 2 schools.
Okay. Very good. So today's topic, obviously, having a goalkeeper here, is goalkeeping. So we focus on the youth development stuff a little bit more. So how do we want to word this? Should goalkeepers have their own training from an early age?
That's one, right?
And how integrated should the goalkeeper be with your team training?
That's a very good way to put it.
Okay,
yeah.
So
and should it change over the years?
Should it change over the years? So let's start at the lowest levels. Let's say like between 8 to 10 years old. What do you think?
You know, I mean, I think we would agree that there are a lot of great goalies that start playing goalie at a later age.
Right.
In
Yeah.
their
Absolutely.
teens, actually, in their
Sure.
teenage years. So to that point, you know, I don't know if it's really necessary for a kid to play between the ages of 8 and 10, or to dictate what position they should play as far as playing goalie.
Well, let me ask you this though: do you think that then every player should play goalie between 8 and 10?
That's a great question.
You mean try it out?
Try it out, yeah. And also in training. So I had, which I tend to agree with, and I haven't done much, to be fair, in training. But I've had really top level coaches suggest to me, try it with every kid. Do 1 or 2 training sessions a season. That's like all goalkeeping for everybody, so that everybody gets a taste of it and gets to learn something. Because you never know when that kid, like you said, some kid that tried it when he was 10 may kind of like it, but not go into it until he's like 13.
Right.
Tim Howard is a great case.
Tim
Tim Howard
Howard's
was a forward in high school, didn't start playing keeper till after that.
Really?
Right. But
Yeah.
the flip side to that is, like, you know, times are different. Tim Howard, I think it's fair to say, is an outlier.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
It
Tim
doesn't
Howard,
happen.
not to think that your player is not 1 in a million, but Tim Howard is clearly 1 in a million.
Right.
Right? There's no doubt about that. So, but it is interesting. So I like that idea. I don't know how you guys feel. I like the idea of trying everybody out, not necessarily in a game. I think in games, players
Yeah, I
have
don't
to want
think
to
there's
do
any
it.
harm in that, but
Yeah.
you know, you just gotta be careful, because you gotta have, like, I wouldn't have the average trainer do that. I'd want to have the club bring in a fun goalkeeping coach, so that
Okay,
the
yeah, that's
kids
a good idea.
the kids actually enjoy it. And even if they did it like once a month, you know what I mean, during the season, like, they're not getting discouraged because it's boring. It's kind of like when you take a class in high school, right? If you're a fun teacher and they're making it seem great, doesn't matter what the subject is, you're going to be interested in that subject. Then you have kids saying, "Oh, I love biology." Well, probably not. I mean, the teacher just made you like biology, you know, like they were a good
Right.
teacher. So I think in this case, you want to have a goalkeeping coach that has a lot of experience coaching the youth kids and making goalkeeping fun. Then I think it would be great, and I would actually want my kid to do that as well. But you have a goalkeeping coach that's taking it to a whole nother level with kids that haven't really had any experience and they're very young. That could do more harm than good. I feel like it could turn off kids.
But can somebody like me, who's clearly not? I mean, like I've worked with Scott as a goalkeeper.
Right.
Right,
And I work
but-
with players as well.
But
right.
we'll work on specific things. So one of my areas of expertise is footwork.
Right.
You know, so I think I'm qualified to work with any player on their footwork. The same way Joey Spivak, I think,
Right.
can work with footwork. But we'll work also on his first touch. But his footwork is important as a goalkeeper, so
course.
we'll work on footwork stuff.
Right.
Right? So there's a number of ways, I think, to look at it. What do you think?
I think your idea of trying out everyone when they're young, I don't see a huge benefit, but I also don't think there's any harm. I think you should do it just because there's no harm to it. I think if you bring in a coach like you said, you'll be able to tell which kids are immediately not going to like it and which kids might actually like it. Like, you watch goal training sessions, whether it's at the high school camp or even, I don't know if you've seen any when you coached at Red Bulls
Sure,
or
yeah,
SCP, but you can tell there's some kids who goalie stuff, you always start with the intro stuff. It's always hands, positioning. But you'll tell when there's kids kicking the ball, and you also have some kids who will not take their eyes off the trainer. You'll be able to tell which ones are going to want to go back to playing field or which ones might actually stick with it.
Well, let me ask, Scott, what age would you say you started playing goalkeeper?
I've been playing goalie since I started playing soccer, basically.
But it's a little
Well,
bit different.
what age is that, though?
It's a
I
little
can't
bit-
put an age on that.
It's
Before you continue.
well,
Yeah, yeah.
I started playing soccer. Probably I started playing with my older brother Alex, his team, when I was probably about 3. But it's like Travis said, it's different for me. My dad was a goalkeeper. I have
Okay.
3 older brothers, which you guys don't know
He's-
that maybe,
he's a-
but they
he's
were
a
all
legacy keeper.
goalkeepers.
He's a legacy. Okay.
He's a
Like,
legacy
Okay.
keeper.
So
We
you
might
come
not
from a
all-
goalkeeping family.
Yeah, we might not all have
basically.
been the same
Okay.
level, but we
Right.
were all goalies.
Okay.
Now, if I could I be totally honest with you,
Yeah.
and because I'm very honest with Scott, I'm very
Yeah.
honest with all my players. Scott was not very good as a goalkeeper, in my opinion, growing up. You know, like he stuck with it, and I'm not saying this to be like a jerk or anything. I think you've known my opinion, and I think highly of him now.
Right.
But he decided to be a goalkeeper, and with goalkeeping training and sticking with it and all those things, and having that mentality that he is a goalkeeper,
Right.
did him well, because very easily he could have been discouraged by a coach that didn't want him as a goalkeeper, depending on the level you play at. I mean, the higher the level, the more maybe you're discouraged from playing if you're not doing well. But he very easily could have been discouraged, I think, not doing well at times growing up, and put his head down and say, like, you know what, maybe I don't want to play as a goalkeeper anymore. So the reason I like the idea of trying out all those kids and seeing how they are, and like you said, you can find out a lot about a player like that by how they react to the training and stuff. Goalkeeping to me is big with your mentality.
Oh,
More
of
than
course,
anything else.
yeah.
It's very technical,
And it's
and
abuse
it's very
on
difficult.
your body as well.
But it's
a different
very,
game,
very
yeah.
mental. Very mental.
I think what you brought up, how I used to not be a great goalkeeper, would you say I'm acceptable now?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it has to do with what we're talking about today, where should the goalies be integrated with the field players. I think it depends on where you're playing at. So, like, for instance, I said, unlike most of my friends who grew up playing with, like, TSF, Jersey United, teams like that in the state, I played with Sparta's club teams playing Morris County for, I think, up until high school. Then I played a couple of years with Vernon, and
Right.
then your favorite, Joe Lagore's Vernon Red Bull team.
Right.
But
By the way, I loved all the players. I just didn't like that they called themselves the Red Bulls.
I know,
and
I
that's
know.
when we were there. That's a
I didn't
different
have a
We
choice
talked
in
about
that.
this
It's
in
a
another
different
But
conversation.
anyways-
I knew we were going to get
Anyway.
Anyways, what I'm
conversation.
saying is, with Sparta growing up, we didn't have a goalie trainer at the club. I don't know if it's different now, but didn't have goalie training. Vernon didn't have goalie training my first year. It wasn't until my second year with Joe Lagore where I started doing individual training. And then obviously when I went to Parsippany, I have a goalie trainer. But I think that plays a big part into it because I see a big difference. Travis coached me since my sophomore year. That's
Yeah.
when you came on. I had the worst season of my life my sophomore year.
Yep.
Junior year and senior year, I really turned it around, and that was when I went from Morris County to playing with Parsippany at a higher level for me and getting trained in goalie twice a week every
Yes.
week.
And by the way, and let's get your point because you've been trying to chime in.
No,
Go ahead,
I'm,
go ahead,
I'm
go ahead.
not actually. I wasn't gonna try to make a point. I actually wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Which was, would you say then that what really helped you excel was the goalkeeping training, and being on a good team alone did not actually make you a better goalkeeper?
I think being on the good team,
You know what?
maybe it built my confidence. Playing at U20s, I did that when I was 16. That built my confidence.
but
For
it's
sure,
more
but
than
it
you
could
can build
have
confidence
but it
and
could have
building
shattered
skill.
your confidence as well.
Right.
It could have, but I had games where like
That's a very
I'd
good
get
point, by the way.
pummeled.
It could've.
I'd have like players on my team, a left back who's playing at Villanova right now, yelling at me if I screwed up. But it didn't like I didn't win every game when I started with the U20s. We lost a couple games. We've lost
Right,
games last
yeah.
season, but it doesn't shatter my confidence. Playing up, I think, builds your confidence, whether you're doing
It
good or
can,
not.
it can, it definitely can.
But and
It's
it
a
could
test.
ruin it, as you
Again,
said
it's a
as
test
well.
of your mentality, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because I don't know how familiar you guys are with the story of Victor Valdez at Barcelona growing up.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to be a field player, and he's very good. Like, he probably could have made it, not at the level that he's playing as a goalkeeper, but he probably could have made it as a professional on the field.
Yeah.
Not that goalkeepers aren't on the field, by the way. I don't know why we call them field players.
I know.
You know what we mean. So he probably could have made it. He used to come home and cry that he didn't want to play goalkeeper anymore. You know, for years he went through that battle, and he stuck with it because he was good. So sometimes you wrestle, you know, how good is your talent, and how much is it that you want to be there. You know, because there has to be some level in between that meets to stay a goalkeeper. That's where your mentality is really difficult. Some players are very good at goalkeeper and they don't want to play. You see that in young kids all the time. The athletic kid with the good hand-eye coordination, Tim Howard, he's a great goalkeeper. Didn't want to play goalkeeper until he was 13, though. You know? So sometimes you have that as well. I just think someone said to me, how do you, or they said in a group, how do you pick your goalkeeper at a young age? And the instructor said, take them out to the parking lot and line them up, and then roll a ball next to them, you know, on the concrete ground, and see which one of them dives instead of going for it with their feet. That's your goalkeeper.
That's brilliant, actually.
And everyone said why? Because like some of us think like,
that's
well,
instinct, I
because
guess, right?
instinct with diving. But no.
Really? That's exactly what I was
His reasoning was because who would dive on concrete? Only a goalkeeper who has a screw loose, because goalkeepers are a little bit crazy. Am I right?
No, I've
You
heard
have
that
to put
from
yourself
everyone.
in very tough situations. You
Right.
have to be mentally tough, and it's mentally difficult. It's the person that's crazy enough to go to ground like that without thinking about it. That's your goalkeeper. I found that very interesting because sometimes it's not about how great are your hands. You can make them better.
Right.
How great is your hand-eye coordination? Sometimes that's tough. How great is your footwork? You can work on that. But that craziness to go out for a ball when it's, you know, a 50-50 on a breakaway and you got to put your body on the line, or you go up for a cross with someone coming in, it's tough. I wouldn't do it. You know, I'm on the other side of that as a striker, trying to go up for a header like that. But, you know, I get slammed by goalkeepers sometimes.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to be on the other end of it because I think that's worse.
Right.
Like, I'd rather be in my position. But it's just two different mentalities. You probably wouldn't want to be in my position.
No.
You know? Because he sees it as he's going to kill me, and I see it as, like, I'm going to get him in a tough spot. So, I don't know. There's a couple ways to look at it. The other side that I wanted to talk about is I was a striker growing up. So I got to be a part of goalkeeper training sessions a lot. So we often built in our attacking sessions with the attacking-minded players or players in that position with the goalkeeper session. So I would work on, you know, checking away, checking in, playing a quick 1-2, getting in behind the back line, and then finish. And then I would be finishing on the goalkeepers. The goalkeepers would be working on the 1v1 side of that. So I've had a lot of insight into those parts of the goalkeeper sessions, and so I see that as integrating your team, you know, your full team training session. I see that as integrating your team into your goalkeeper training sessions, which I think is great. I think more people should do that. I've also done, like, we'll do possession, and if you do possession, obviously you want to have a direction. Sometimes the direction when I played was find the goalkeeper in the air after X amount of passes, and the goalkeeper is a neutral player with their feet during the passes. So they're involved with both their feet and their hands, and you have to find them and to test them a little bit. I love things like that. I think that that's how we should focus as coaches that have teams. That's how we should focus, in my opinion, on goalkeeping.
Yeah, you know, I think for me it's interesting as well because now with the high school team, like, I'm thinking, like, I would have loved to have a goalkeeping coach, obviously, but you don't get that luxury usually unless you have, like, an assistant that already is.
Right.
So, you know, now you might have to rely on, like, an outsider coming in to do those trainings, and I think having them do something like that twice a week is very beneficial. So that's something that I'm aiming towards, to be honest, having someone come in twice a week to work with the goalkeepers, take them away from my sessions.
What is your
sometimes.
ideal situation? Would you prefer, if you had your own goalkeeper coach, to have them have time with the goalkeeper coach
Yeah,
away
absolutely.
from the team?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, so we're all on the same page. I mean, I
Yeah.
think
If that's a
and
possibility,
it's a
yeah.
little bit age dependent, but I think
Right.
every coach, and this is good for goalkeeper coaches to hear probably. Goalkeeper coaches need to, in my opinion, be a part of every club. They need to.
Oh, yeah, of
They need
course,
to be
yeah.
a fixture in a club, and they need to be more than one day if you can.
Yeah.
And if you can't, then get 2 goalkeeper coaches and have them come up with a curriculum and work with your goalkeepers. I think it should be basically every training session that you should spend time with the goalkeepers.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? I know a lot of clubs it's different. I know at Parsippany we have training twice a week. Usually it was before our practice times, but other clubs do it differently where they have their trainer there, I think, like every day, and instead of practicing with your team, unless they're doing something with shooting, you're away with the goalie trainer. But if you're a club that you don't have the goalie trainer there every day and you have your keepers with your team at practice, how should you handle that? Like, because I've been in scenarios where we're playing with the field players. I've also been told to go warm up with the keeper. This was more at the college level, go warm up the keepers. But we're just sitting there after we've stretched and warm up, and we're there for 30 minutes.
I don't think you should ever be sitting.
No,
You know what?
not sitting there. I mean, like,
we're just about out of time. I think we'll do one more goalkeeper topic because that's a totally separate topic because it's a different level.
Right.
And it's a little bit less in development and more in goalkeeper training period.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's a good topic.
Yeah, and I think at the youth level we agree that like clubs should accommodate goalkeepers in their club, and for the club to get better, you need a goalkeeping coach for sure.
Yes.
Some towns do a great job where there's like someone known in the town as the goalkeeping coach, and they work with all ages, which is wonderful.
Right.
But if you don't have that luxury, a club should definitely bring in a goalkeeping coach, and not for nothing. I'm not trying to pick on clubs, but if a club does not do that, you know, and your kid loves being a goalkeeper, you might have to think twice about being at that club, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I think that we have a duty as trainers who aren't goalkeeper coaches to find ways to incorporate what they're doing in their training, or find ways to incorporate a goalkeeper period in your sessions, more than just playing with their feet.
Right.
And it is important for them to play with their feet, so you do have to do that as well, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just the way the game is now. But bottom line is you need to incorporate them. I think we're just about out of time, but let's do that topic as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you to the Sparta Fieldhouse for hosting us once again. More topics to come.
Thank you.